Aloha and welcome. In this video, we're going to be talking about project 10.2, which is a continuation of what we just learned. It's going to be soft, colorful light, and it's pretty neat what we're going to do here. So let's jump on into it. So in this project, instead of just using the one potentiometer, we're going to use 3 of them. So we're going to do that, and we're going to use it to control the RGB LED that we used from a previous lesson, the one that had the 4 pins on it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that involves here. So if we scroll down, we're going to be using the usual suspects. Then we get down here, we've got 3 potentiometers. We're going to have 3 220 ohm resistors. We're going to take out that RGB LED from before, the one with the 4 pins on it. Remember that the second one is the power, and we're going to have jumpers. We'll have plenty of jumpers. I think we're going to need 9 jumpers altogether because it'll be 3 per potentiometer. Let's take a look. It may be actually more than that. Hold on. Yes, it's going to be 12. We're going to need 12 of them because we got to link up the resistors as well. So let's see. Hold on. Wait, is that more? I think we need more actually. So 3, 3, 3. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to need 12, 13, 14, 15, I think. So we'll have the 3 over here. And then we're going to have to be tying in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 altogether. Yes, so you're going to need a lot of them. So this is going to be a pretty interesting build. It's complex, not complex, because you can kind of see what we're going to be doing here. It's not too different from what we did before. So let's go ahead. We're going to take what we had before. Well, hold on. Before we do that, let's look at the code just to see what's going to happen after we get all this. So just note that we've got our potentiometers here. Notice that what we're doing here, instead of going wire from here into power and ground, what we're doing is we're running power and ground to our rails and then just plugging into our rails for each of the 3. That way we're not going to have any trouble here. So and that's usually why you end up using it for that anyway. And then down here we've just got we've got our pins set up to go to our resistors, which are going to the different pins of our RGB LED. And then you can see that we've got power running here from the power rail down over to pin 2, which is the power. And then the other ones go to the different controls there. So anyways, let's go ahead and look at our board. So we're going to stop the share here and look down on here. So I'm going to take what we just built in our last lesson and we're going to modify it a bit here. So let's go ahead. We know we're not going to be using the LED. First, we make sure that we've unplugged our micro USB, and we have. So just go ahead and remove that because that's no longer going to be used. Now, we're going to simplify some things. We're going to use a lot of short wires here. So go ahead and prep a lot of short wires, get those out, and we'll use those for the short distances that we'll be going between the ground rail and everything. So let's go ahead and let's see. I'll go ahead and start with the first. Actually, let me pull all these wires off. Let's just get all the wires off of here. And then what we'll do is we'll set up in line. We'll just go ahead and set up our, and notice that these pins are looking kind of bear claw-like. They're all messed up, but you can work on getting those back in, but you can get those to plug in, then, oh, hold on, let me go ahead and, I've got a nice iron bottom here, and that's something I can use to try to straighten them out a bit. So you can see I just straighten them out by, they're malleable, so it's not that bad. So I'm going to go ahead and plug these into the board like this, get it into the first row. If you get into the first row, you can, so I'll line it up on 25, then 20 all the way down to 29. And then I'll try to get the other ones kind of close by. I'll start this one in the first one as well. And then I'll take the third one and let's see how bad the claws on the third one are. That's not bad. So I'll go ahead and line those up over here. I can't get it too close. Just go ahead and put it in right there. That way I'm going from the the numbered pin all the way up to one short of the next numbered pin. So that looks pretty decent. So now that we've got that, let's go ahead and establish our ground and our power. So we're going to take some short shunts here, and we'll go ahead and we'll run our ground. So we'll take ground over here, and we'll run this into the outer. And yeah, we'll run this in the outer, even though it says power there. We're going to just remember, because the book has it set up this way, this is the opposite of what you would think, but we're running ground into the outer one. And then I'll take another short shunt, and I will run, let me see if I can get a nice red one for that to show power. So we take a red one, and we're going to take a red one. We're going to run that one from our 3.3, and we're going to put that into, we'll run it from our 3.3 into our near one. So we're going to run it just like this, if it'll allow. Yes. So now we've got our, let's pull this up where you can see a little bit. So we've got 3.3 running into the inner rail for power, and we've got the ground running into the outer rail. So that looks good. So next thing we can do is we can go ahead, let's run our, let's run all of our powers into power rails. So that is going to be the second to last one here. So let me see, right there. So that is power on one of them. And I've decided I'm going to go color coordinated on this with my different ones. So I'm going to pull out the short red cables as I can from my pack. I'm going to run, let's see, it's going to be one short. So that's power right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then the same thing for our last one over here. I'm going to find it right there. So that's our power rail. And remember, we're using the inner rail for our power, not our outer rail as it's marked on the thing. So that's fine. So we're just going to do that. So now we have all three. Well, that's our second. And now we're going to have all three of our power rails, our power ones, set. So now we can go ahead and do our ground the same way. So let's find a nice color for ground. Let's say blue is our color. Let's use blue for grounding here. So pulling out my blues, and we'll run that into the first pin that we have. So let's do it over here on the first pin. So we've got it there, and then we're going to set up another one on our first pin over here. Is this it? Yeah, I believe that's it. I'm just going to punch that in right there. I'm going to punch in one over here on the last one. So we've got that set up. Now we're going to put this into the ground, which is the outer rail, because we're not using it as it's marked. We're using it as it's done in the book or in the PDF file. So we're running this into our ground, which is our outer rail. So now we have, if you remember from our potentiometers, we have our power and our ground done. Now we have to set it up for the different pins, the GP pins. So what are those going to be? So the GP pins that we're going to use 26. We're going to, let's see, we're going to use 26, 27, and 28. So we'll use 3 different lengths here. So I'll get away with using a white one for the one over here. Let's see if I can plug this properly. That doesn't look like I did it. I think it's right here. So this will go over to pin, what are we going to use on this one? For this one, we're going to use pin 26, the closest one. So we go over to pin 26, and where is 26? It's right here. Boom. So we've got that one set up. The next one we're going to do is 27. So let's find the middle pin on our other one. And that is, I think this is it right here. Well, blue is not a good color to use. Let's use a white one again, a little bit longer one. So I'll go over here and choose white for our middle rail, or for our middle pin. And I'll run that to 27 over here. So let me see if I got that in the right one. Yeah, that looks like it's in the right one. If it's not, we'll smell bacon. All right, and then we will try our last one. Let's see if, is this long enough? I'll go ahead and plug this into 28 over here. And remember, there's a gap of the ground wire between 27 and 28. So keep that in mind. Then go down over here and plug it into the middle. It's at the middle. It sure looks like it. We've got a spacer of 1 in between those. So now we have our power and ground on each of these potentiometers. And we also have our ADC our ADC pins running, or ADC shunts running as well. So all this is set up. So now we have to set up our LED pin. So our LED, we'll bring that back in. You'll remember this one. We have, if you look at it like this, you can see that pin 2 is longer than the others. So that's our power pin right there. So we're going to face it like this, and we'll go all the way down here to the end, and we'll stick it. Oh gosh, this is a little bit messed up. Let me try to straighten that up a bit. So we'll take it down here and we'll stick this in at the end and hope that goes into separate wires or separate holes. It's not, I don't think, but let me, there. Now it's going into separate holes. So if I pull it to the side, you can probably see it a little bit better. Yeah, it's kind of whitish, so it doesn't look so well. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take a power rail, or we're going to have to plug into our power rail on number 2 there. So that's going to be a short little shunt. So I'm going to take another one of those handy dandy little red ones, and we're going to go to the second one right here. And we're going to plug it into number 2 here. Then we're going to put it into the power rail, which is the near one, remember? We're using the near one for power, because if we look, all our other red ones are plugged into the near one, so that makes sense. So we've got the near one there. So then let's take care of the other side, which is going to be, we're going to have to work on the resistors. So let's go ahead and set up our resistors. Our resistors are going to be on all of them except for that second line that we had. So let's go ahead and set up, try to straighten these things out as much as we can. And this is going to be fun. Let's see. Can I even line that up? I'm just going to have to do it this way. So if I look at it like this, and this is the first line, and I put it in here. So I'm going to put it in there. So that'll be number 1. And I'm going to run that across. Actually, let me take it right there and then have it go down to, let me have it go down to here. Oops, having some trouble with this. Yeah, I'm just going to plug it in right there. So now I've got that one in, and then I'm going to have to take the bottom of this, and I'm going to have to run that. I'll just take a black one here. So I'm going to take a black one, and I'm going to run that back. So I've got those in line. So now I'm going to run that one over to, let's run that to pin 15, because pin 15 would work. All right, let's see. Got a parallax view here, so it's kind of hard, but that should do it right there. So I've got, let me make sure I've got those in line yet. So those 2 are in line. And then this is in line with this. And it then goes over here to, let's make sure that's pin 15, pin 15. That is correct. Okay, so now we're going to do our next our next resistor, which is going to be on the 3rd pin. So we're going to go ahead and go over here to the 3rd pin. This is going to be hard to show, but let's try to tilt this over. And we've got the 3rd pin right there. So we're going to plug it in. Let's just plug it in right here. Okay, so we've got that in. I think I've got that in. So then we're going to take this other end over to here. And I'm going to put that in on the numbers there. So I'm going to put it in right here next to the numbers. Yeah, this looks ugly, but it will work. So I'm going to go ahead down to there. And what that gets us is, it's not in the last one, it's in the second to last because I need to get a jumper wire over there. So, yep. So I've got that in. All right, that is in the right place. So I'm going to take a longer wire and I will make this a blue wire, and I'm going to run this one. It'll go from pin 14. So we're going to go over here. So we'll go over here from pin 14, and I'll run this one all the way over here to where the one is. Is this set right there? No, that's not there. Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah. So I've got that in. It's kind of hard to see it there, but they do line up. So if you look at that, they do line up. And that's in the third pinhole. So, all right. So now I'm going to take the fourth 220 ohm resistor. I'm going to run that into the last one. So if I run that into the last one here, so I'll take that over here and I'll run it. I'm going to run it a little bit over on this side because we're running out of space. Or just put it in the last line altogether. So I'll put it over there and make sure these things don't cross each other. So I'll pull it out like that. So you can see that we've got the, over on this side, we've got them in the same line. I'm going to bring it out over to here and I'm going to put it into that little A right there. So I will use a red one just because I don't really have a lot of options here. And I'm going to run this one down to pin 13. So let's punch that in and then run it over to pin 13 over here. Where is pin 13? Okay, pin 13 is right here. And now we have a nice garbled mess of everything, but this should be right. So we have methodically gone through and taken our potentiometers, and we hooked up our potentiometers. Then we hooked up our LED over there. We got our power going to our LED. And then we have, wait, let's see. Wait, do we have our power to the LED? Let me take a quick look at that just to make sure that we've got it in there. So we've got our power into the close rail, and we've got that over here into the second. So that should be right. Yeah, that should be, but just to make it pretty like it had in the other one, maybe I will go ahead and, yeah, because I've got that on the other side. Why don't I go ahead and put this on the inside of it on this two, just to make it a little bit better. So we plug it in there. So I had it on the other side, so now it looks better. So we have all that hooked up. Hopefully this will not make us some bacon smells, but it's all hooked up. We're making sure over here we don't have our resistors too close to each other. But this is probably one of our projects that's going to really fill the board. You know, we've got the 3 potentiometers on here. It's a rat's nest of wires and everything. Make sure that you have everything plugged up. And that's why I use the same color cables, because if I look on the outside rail, I can tell my blues are going in the outside rail and my reds are going on the inside. If I just make sure that the reds are supposed to be my power and that they plug in down there to the 3.3, we're good. So this should hopefully work. And now if I plug in my power adapter, I should, oh, hold on. We do get some power going to the LED. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Actually, I don't need to share the screen. I'll just go back to, well, let me share the screen. So I'm going to go back and look at the code for this. So the code, if you look at it, it's pretty simple. We're setting up ADC on 26, 27, 28. We're setting up pulse width modulation on 13, 14, 15, and setting the frequencies to 1,000 on each one. Then we're running a loop. And all we're doing is we're going over here. We're saying set the duty cycle to 65,535 minus what you read from the potentiometer, the first one, the second one, and the third one. We're sending it to each of the pulse width modulations for 0, 1, and 2. Then we're going to do a sleep of 0.1 seconds. and then we're going to repeat it. So it's going to get that reading, and it's going to wait a second, then it's going to read again, and it's going to read and assign, read and assign, read and assign. So it's going to keep on doing this over and over. So let's go ahead and run this, and you can see, hold on, let's go ahead and stop the share here. So we're looking at our video. So now if we go ahead and turn this potentiometer, you can see that we're turning down the color on it. If we turn this one up, we're turning up, but we're getting it, you can see that we're doing it on the 3 different channels here. So this is our blue. So we're going really bright there. And let's turn that one all the way down. I want to turn this one all the way down. Let's turn this one all the way, oh, it is all the way up. So that gives us our blue. If we turn this down, we get a very muted color here, barely anything at all. Because remember, when we're down all the way, we've almost got 0 volts going through it. But if we turn this up, about halfway, we've got some blue going there. We turn this one up halfway. We're going more towards a greenish color. Then we add in some more over here. We go to a yellowish color. So you can use these different the different potentiometers to brighten up your different channels there. So this is pretty cool. So we're able to mix and match. So now we've got some pinks here. And then if we go over here and mix it, we go down to more of a purplish and then blue. So yeah, so you can use your potentiometers here to go through and do your pulse width modulation on all 3 of your color channels and play around with that. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. This is a lot of fun, and you can learn a lot doing this. But anyhow, again, the simple idea here is we're using 3 potentiometers. And they're, we're using that to get a reading to see what kind of voltage we have. We're going and using the pulse width modulation to go out and set the actual color based on the values that we're getting from our potentiometers. So anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. The only thing I want you to make very sure of is, try to use the same color wires when you can, just to make sure that, at a glance, you can tell that you've got power and ground going to the right places. And that's it. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Aloha.